the first thing that needs to be said is that the vast majority of people are going along with the pandemic, and that they will not listen and have not looked for alternative explanations as to what's happening. The furlough was a trick to get people to enjoy pretending to work from home. And of course, many of the jobs that people working from home will actually create what they want as a global economy. Companies will discover that rather than employ someone in the UK to sit at home, they can employ someone in India or the Philippines to sit at home and do the job for much less. And the long run will be the Great Reset, the cashless society. They're already going to introduce in certain countries the universal basic income, which in principle I'm actually in favour of, but not implemented for these reasons and not with this agenda. After all, in Western countries, people have a range of tax deductions, family credit, tax allowances, universal credit, all kinds of things which will give you a tax-free allowance and things like that. It would seem to me a more logical step, instead of having all these different things, is to have a kind of a basic minimum income which you can top up via work, and most people would want to do so. The vast majority of people would not be able to survive on, nor would they wish to survive on, a basic income, because it's not enough for the cars and the houses and the massive televisions that so many people feel are absolutely essential. And of course, children want toys, maybe expect expensive toys. People want iPhones and other clutter. So obviously people who want that kind of stuff need to graph for it, which seems fair enough. But if people are, for example, unemployed or ill or old, I think it's reasonable that they can be given a stipend just to keep them going, but also use taxation to encourage people to start working and be productive. But at the moment, our whole economy is being destroyed. The travel industry is being destroyed. Travelling isn't even enjoyable. There's tests, you've got track and trace, you've got very unreliable, not fit for purpose tests. Originally they were for Covid19, now they're being described as for coronavirus, which is a family of illnesses allegedly caused by viruses, which are basically the common cold, which is the definition of coronavirus. Viruses are not bacteria, that's why wearing a mask is useless. And some people are even attempting to deal with coronavirus by taking antibiotics, which, if you think about it, makes no sense at all. But again, many people in the public are very easy to trick, very trusting in anyone who comes across as a scientist or is presented by the BBC as a scientist. It's extraordinary how even after all this time the public believe in the BBC. I only look at the BBC to find out what lies they're telling. The BBC agenda is very, very clear, promoting resentment by women and black people, running lots and lots of stories, praising, endorsing transsexualism, transhumanism. One story that caught my eye is Donald Trump, who many of you wrongly feel is a good man, going along with coronavirus. Like, US allows wider use of blood plasma treatment. Apparently Donald Trump is saying that people should donate plasma to fight the Covid-19. Obviously, Donald Trump is going along with the idea that there is a virus in society which needs drastic government action, i.e. masks, social distancing, job losses, working from home, track and trace, and so on. That means that Donald Trump is part of it. You cannot be a Trump supporter, in all fairness. You cannot be a Trump supporter and not recognise the fact that he is the President of the United States and he is going along with this fraud. COVID-19 is a fraud. If you believe that COVID-19 is a fraud, you need to condemn Trump. Now, obviously, there's an issue that if Trump isn't re-elected, and of course elections can easily be fraudulent because mail-in ballots, electronic voting, all very, very, very easy to rig. And again, as Stalin is supposed to have said, it's not who votes, it's who counts the votes. So whoever counts the votes can easily rig the election. Biden is obviously an idiot. Apparently he likes sniffing hair, which, you know, in the intimacy of your own bedroom is perfectly acceptable, but not. He does it with like any woman at all in public. It's like shameless. But Trump himself is linked to Epstein. That's a fact. You know, I mean, many people on BitChute don't like Jews, or Zionist Jews, I should say, and they go for Trump. He's a Zionist. If you support Trump, you support Zionism. It's as simple as that. Biden is a Zionist as well. You know, they're just playing different roles. It's a Punch and Judy show, that's all. You might not know it, and I don't want to be the one to break it to you, but if you've ever been to the seaside and seen Punch and Judy, it's just one man with those two puppets. And that's which everybody should be able to see. I mean, it's very obvious, isn't it? But you'll be distracted. And now in the UK, they create additional issues for people to get excited about. For example, immigration, which is a very important issue, but it's being used to take people's eye off the ball. And the thing is, we should not be tolerating mandatory vaccinations, contact tracing. I think it's all very, very wrong. It's all very wrong, and it's all very, very unnatural. And again, you know, I'm for anyone. I have a few hobbies, and my hobbies bring me into contact with people who really should know better. And overall, the majority of people I know, maybe 80% of people who know, believe that there's a virus called Covid-19, and believe it's killing people, and believe that overall the government are doing what's required. Now, I also know people from Eastern Europe who know it's a fake. I also know people who think that the government are taking advantage of an opportunity to implement policies that they wanted to do, i.e., as Rahm Emanuel, Obama's Israeli lover, said, never let a crisis go to waste. There's also people who have been tricked into thinking that China is responsible, like the Wuhan virus and all the rest of it. China is involved in it. Clearly it's involved in it. There's no doubt about it. But they're only involved because they can benefit themselves. It's good for their control. So they cast themselves in the role as the bad guys. A plausible story, wet markets in China, bats, da-di-da-di-da. And then everyone in the world was really singing on that same hymn sheet, claiming cases. The idea that the whole world can get infected by something. And the truth is that the survival rate, according to official figures, which have been widely exaggerated, is very, very good. And the only people, and the average age of death for people who supposedly die of COVID-19 is higher than the average. Now, what kind of virus is it that only kills people who, frankly, would be dying anyway? You know, if the virus was real, I would see physical evidence in my daily life of people ill. I don't even hear people coughing. I don't hear people coughing. I don't hear people sneezing. There's very little evidence. In fact, there's no evidence at all that anyone is ill. And the hospitals are empty. But deaths are being reported as COVID-19, and many, many people are not being able. It's very difficult to get a doctor's appointment. A lot of stuff is being done on the phone. Doctors are being paid to do fuck all. Hospitals are not being used for their stated purpose, which is routine operations. There are millions of people who have had their routine operations postponed. Some of them are life-saving, others would enhance their quality of life. Like I know a guy who has a knee problem. He's been waiting for a knee operation, but he can't have the knee operation because the hospitals have shut down for regular business. Now, some people have committed suicide. I think the numbers have been overstated. People have a very bad ability to conform very quickly. Many things that we used to take for granted are now no longer accepted. If I see local estate agents showing their customers around, they're wearing a mask. People no longer shake hands. People tend to stand at a distance from each other. In the park, many people who used to walk on the pavement are now walking on the grass. And children are, in some schools in the UK, and this is very, very cruel and wicked, I'd say, very wicked, are being encouraged to, they're saying that the schools are open, but they have to wear masks. I've also seen pictures of children in plastic boxes, wearing cubes, and of course hairdressers are supposed to wear masks and visors and things like that. The disruption to people's lives, the so-called new normal, all of this is completely contrived. But having said that, it's now late August, and as the weather will turn from late October, the government will have an opportunity to use 5G in order to create flu-like symptoms. People will naturally get flu in winter. People's psychology has been very badly harmed by fear-mongering. The government always want to keep you on edge. That is their job. That way you look to the state for protection. It's exactly the same as Operation Gladio. They want the public to ask the state to protect them and to introduce laws which are against the public interest and say that these laws are for your own good, for your own benefit, and they are not. New normal is abnormal. New normal is an attack on everything that's decent and everything that makes life worth living. Right? Having to sanitize your hands every time you go shopping. It's a joke. And another thing is a lot of these products are actually bad for you. Give contact dermatitis. I mean, who is sanitizing the hand sanitizers? One would have thought that having hundreds of people touch how does that work? That's a way to get everyone in the shop to touch the same item. So none of this is necessary. Businesses are being put, small shops are having to close down. Companies such as Amazon are doing incredibly well because more and more people, and that's what they want. They want a virtual economy. They want people on Zoom where everyone can be tracked and traced. They want to make everyone's purchases online. And that's why companies like Amazon and eBay are not going to question any of this. I haven't heard one business come and talk. The only guy I know is Simon Dolan, who's opposing this, but it's not good enough. Businesses, unless people start to take action, we're fucked. Now, I don't know. I mean, there aren't enough of us, realistically. There aren't enough of us. This is terrible what's happening in our world. It's but again, I've never had a lot of faith in human nature because I've seen just how lazy people are. Intellectually lazy, can't be bothered to research anything, take so much on trust, addicted to the television. And that's something you need to get out of your life immediately. Never mind the sport, forget it, you can live without it. Get rid of your television anyway. My 15 minutes is up, thank you for your time.